Hello, everybody. I am Connor Nielsen
And I am Spencer Nielsen.
of CS Reviews, and what I really love, a good movie. Hey, Spencer, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing, Connor?
I'm doing very well, but I'm also in a bit of a hurry. We got 11 movies to talk about. We are talking about January 2015, the worst month of the year. Spencer, how did
2016.
you enjoy January?
Well, I did not enjoy January 2015, but as far as January 2016, I enjoyed it a little bit more, though it still is January. How are you doing, Connor?
I'm good. Did I seriously say January 2015?
Yeah, I guess that month is now just locked in here forever.
Oh man, yeah, 20 January 2015 was is probably the worst month for movies I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that's when we got Taken 3 and The Boy Next Door and Black Hat and Mordecai. But this year January was only bad.
Yes, that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, so why don't we just start off with the first movie we saw? It was the first movie of the new year. That's right, we are talking about the horror movie, of course, The Forest. Spencer, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Forest?
All right, The Forest is it stars Natalie Dormer. It is a horror movie. It is about Natalie Dormer. I think she plays a woman. Yeah, she plays a woman named Sarah, and she has a twin sister named Lily. And her they're one Lily's kind of the darker personality of the two. And she is always taking risks and whatnot. But she is last seen entering the suicide forest at the bottom of Mount Fuji in Tokyo, Japan. And so she feels like she needs to go and save her sister from hurting herself, uh, you know, and it's a sibling bond. So that's more or less the setup for the forest. When she goes in the forest, all the spookies happen. Along the way, she meets a guy named Aiden, who's a charming beefcake, like Japanese American guy.
And he's a
And
reporter.
what was that?
And he's a reporter.
Oh, and he's allegedly a journalist. So, yeah, full disclosure, as far as these CS review podcasts go, we are going to be delving into spoilers just on the regular. So if you have not seen any of these movies, skip around, skip the movie, skip to movies that you might want to know about. But since these are a month old and, well, nobody sees January movies, so we are going to go into spoilers. So,
And if you'd like non-spoiler reviews, you can go to my channel, which is Connor Nielsen. It's not that hard to remember. It's only my name. I do go into non-spoiler, off-the-cuff reviews.
all right, yes. Good. All right, Connor, what did you think about The Forest?
Well, it sucked, but it was about as good, maybe less good than the last first movie of the year horror movie, which was The Woman in Black 2, Angelic Boogaloo, which was, of course, last year. So this one I didn't much care for, largely because I didn't really care about any of the characters. I didn't find any of the acting particularly compelling. Not necessarily bad, just not really all that good. I was annoyed by the whole twin element. I thought that when the movie tried to become a horror movie, it was unsuccessful, and that it ultimately worked best as a bit of a supernatural drama. I also felt that it wasn't scary because it's just a bunch of very easy jump scares, and all the jump scares end in the same way, with somebody slowly walking towards a sound, and then they see something, and that something goes every
I love
time.
when
It's
they
like
do that.
every single time, and I'm glad I can do it with a camera now because this is what it is in all these Insidious movies, sinister movies, and now The Woman in Black 2, Angelic Boogaloo, and all of them. It's just the monster's gonna get you, and how does the monster get you? It goes. That's it. That's it. What happens when they do that? Like what they that is it's like that part in that SpongeBob episode where Squidward's telling SpongeBob about the hash slinging slasher, and he goes, and then what? And then what? And then he gets you. So what?
Exactly, yeah.
So what? Spencer, what did you think of The Forest?
Okay, the forest is like okay, so it's like a goth taste is a very it's hard to pull off, but when a girl or I can't speak for girls about guys, but for me, if the whole goth thing is if a girl can pull it off, she can really pull it off. To me, this is the hottest, stupidest goth that you will ever find because
What does that even mean?
I mean, this movie looks way better than it ever deserved to. I think the cinematography is actually can sometimes be quite beautiful. The way depicts the forest and the atmospheric shots and establishing shots look quite good. I think it looks better than this movie ever deserved to. But this movie is so stupid. It is a moron. I want to slap it on how dumb it is. The Okay, so as you said, the twin element doesn't work. You said it in your off the cuff review of this, but twins aren't X-Men. We don't like have this bond where we're like, oh, Connor's hungry for nachos. I should probably make him nachos. Like that's not how we work at all. And so it's like we have a strong connection that will be there longer than we're ever married. So but at the same time, it's not like we can literally feel or subtly hear ourselves, which this movie just us like. And you could assume, well, this is a supernatural bond between these two twins, but the movie talks to the characters and therefore the audience that this is just she like it's just a twin thing. Don't question it. She doesn't say that, but the conversation pieces might as well be that.
Spencer, how would we know that though? It's not like we're twins or anything.
Yeah, you're right. I'll just benefit of the doubt for the movie, right?
Yeah, of course. Spencer, I want to talk to you about the whole cinematography because you said you quite enjoyed the cinematography. I like some of the pickup shots, some of the B-roll. That, for all we know, could just be stock footage that they bought. Because I thought honestly a lot of the cinematography was bland and boring. It wasn't particularly bad, but it was just this is a character walking around in the woods. This
Yeah,
this is a character sitting in a cab.
well, the thing about that is that I would have to disagree with you because there's a part where she falls down into this hole in the ground, and it's just her kind of standing there with she's surrounded by darkness, but there's a single light kind of shining on her, and that's very reminiscent of Batman Begins. There's like a part where she's in the cab, but it's kind of from the outside, and she's sad, so you see the kind of the rain pitter pattering on the window on her, which yes, that's kind of cliche, but it's effective.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Yeah, I get you're right. There's some ideas behind the shots.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying this is like Carol or Mad Max Fury Road or Star Wars. This isn't like Academy Award nominated, Academy Award winning caliber filmmaking. I'm just saying for a cynical, sleazy cash grab, screw it, January release date. It's better than it deserved to look. But I want to talk to you about the scares. Okay, sorry. The cinematography looks great, or not great, but very good and competent up until the end, where it's just, oh my gosh, we don't want to look like these ghosts are like spirit costumes, so let's kind of shake the cam and kind of focus on her as she's running. And then it just becomes very okay. We're filming in the dark and we don't know how to.
Yeah,
But
there's a couple moments where she'll just run into somebody at night in the forest, and it is very as you said, we're filming in the dark and we don't know how to.
yeah, and speaking of the scares, like there's of course there's like the part where she's in a cab, and then at the first scare of the movie is so cheap with her kind of sitting in the cab, and then this homeless question mark old Japanese man just kind of goes, oh, which is kind of if it's not just oh look at it, haha you're scared, it can also kind of feel like oh those crazy old Japanese people like xenophobic much.
Yeah, she goes to buy sushi and it's still twitching on her plate.
Then
And
all the girls are like she's American.
And okay, let's talk about the premise of this movie. It is about a girl who goes to Japan, and then she finds out that her sister might be going into this forest where people go to kill themselves. And historically, people have gone to into this forest to commit suicide, and a lot of it is because of mental insecurity and insanity, that mental illness that is quite a problem in Japan, and this is something that is actually a legitimate thing that people suffer from. And this is, of course, just about, oh, my sister's going into the forest to kill herself. I got to go into this forest, and then and she gets all the warnings from the locals, and then she goes into the forest with people, and they say, okay, people told you not to go to the forest, but now that you're in the forest, don't stay after night. And then she runs into her sister's camp and is like, I'm gonna stay here all night because I'm not superstitious. How do you not know you're in a horror movie? How? How do these people not know they're in a horror movie? And it's like, at any time somebody says, well, just to be safe, let's, I'm just going to do what I want. These characters they're just these lifeless things to progress the plot of the movie so we can get to the next jump scare. It's baffling. It's stupid. Like, anybody with half an IQ point would think, you know what? All the locals, and there's just random old people that just, boo, just go boo at me. And all the locals are like, don't go in. And you know what? It boggles my mind. It's, of course, all the characters are stupid. And then, okay, there's even like a scare where she's down and she finds like a little viewfinder. And you think, oh my gosh, this movie, okay, this is kind of getting a little clever, where she picks up a viewfinder and is like going into her past, because thinking about her past is that she found this thing. That her sister is darker because she saw their parents' death and she turned away.
Their parents' suicide.
Yeah, their parents' suicide. See how they're trying to make this come full circle. Anyway, so they're in the suicide forest.
It's poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, of course. And so what happens is she picks up the viewfinder and starts, she sees like, the stairs, and then she goes there, and then, oh, the doors open, click. She sees the feet of her parents, and then she's like, oh no, if I click it again, I'm going to see my parents dead, like from her past. And this is kind of like this weird, surreal thing. Is this happening in my mind? Is it not? Is this real? And then how does this thing end? There's like a little Muppet that just comes from the corner and goes, bah! Are you kidding me? You actually had an idea there. And that's the thing, is like, this movie isn't entirely incompetent. There are some like clever like setups, and it all just leads to this boo. Like, the dream sequences drove me crazy.
Oh, in the very first dream sequence, there's a part where she goes down and sees her sister's tent, where we assume that they had to camp out down in the basement or whatever. And she opens up the tent and sees her sister and goes like, Lily. And then she just kind of just goes and looks like Will Smith from Winter's Tale. Just, like, I remember, like, after it happened, I was like, and then I turned to you and I just went.
There's also just things, like, I feel like they just throw things at this movie and expect them to stick. Like, there's this Japanese schoolgirl that just shows up, and she just thinks, oh, this is just some lost girl, and instead of like, and she'll just like run away and disappear, and then just show back up and then disappear. Do you seriously think this little girl's real, and you're just bumping into her? Like, you seriously think that?
Yeah. To go off this, to move this along, I have two things. I want to start off with a positive and then end with a negative, because the negative is the entire final act. My positive is that, as you said, there are ideas. The whole thing with the Viewmaster could have been really chilling, and she has a motivation to finish that Viewmaster, because maybe she can then kind of relate with her sister's dark feelings about seeing her parents' suicide. So maybe like she'll like finally, but then it's just, oh, Muppet. The way the thing goes boo and like turns, it looks like the Jack Nicholson from The Shining poster behind you. It, like if like that, it make a sound. Yeah, I mean, Shining's a scary movie, but it looks like what is it? Something from The Ring doing that. And it's kind of like, but it's all kind of like, you can't even really see it. And it looks so obviously in front of it. So you're like, what?
Yeah, it's an obvious composite. I thought it looked like the Crypt Keeper, but Continue.
Or that, yeah. Either way, it's this old thing, and then, but at the same time, there was this one chilling moment that was genuinely kind of like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Where she has reason to suspect that this Aiden guy maybe not be who maybe he isn't who he says he is, and so then she's kind of walking, and then she like stops for a second. They have an altercation, and then or no, she looks down and then she sees like a body floating, and they kind of say from, oh, that's really weird, or they have like a quick exchange, and then they start walking, and they continue walking like this way, and then she's like, and then he's like, whoa, where are you going? He's like, this way where we were walking. He goes, no, we're walking towards the village at the where we're following the river. Yeah, we were walking this way. She looks down, the water's going the other way. It's like, yeah, water goes towards civilization. And like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like, oh, like the forest is playing tricks on her mind now. Like, okay, that's kind of neat. But moments like this are so few and far between, and it's just the rest is filled with stupidity and just dumb. Oh, it's a horror movie. I'm going to make stupid decisions. That it loses all of it, like any potential tension that it might be building.
You know what that is? That's a very good. Well, that's a very articulate point. Because my issue though, and with all that stuff is when it does that was some pretty clever editing where I was like, wait, weren't they walking the other way like 2 minutes ago? And then I was like, man, that's kind of a strange oversight on the storytelling. And then they address it. I was like, oh, okay, good. That was a cool scene.
Yeah.
But what happens is characters. Okay, one moment she's like, I can't trust you, Aiden, and then she'll just run away, and they go through the forest, and then there'll be a scare, and then a hallucination or something, and then Aiden will be there. He's like, hey, are you okay? Okay. Oh my god. And then they'll team up and I'm like, wait, I thought you couldn't trust him. I thought you didn't like him. And then she'll come to her senses and be like, wait a second. I can't trust him. And then she'll just run away so we can get another sequence of boo. And then Aiden will it becomes this very repetitive thing, and it drove me crazy a little bit. So then we get to the final act, which is just a hodgepodge of stupidity. A bunch of things are just dropped. Like, Aiden, is he a journalist? Is he saying who he says he is? Does he really know what happened to her sister? Nope, completely dropped. Doesn't matter.
The thing about it is that not only is it not dropped, but where they leave that, okay, I'm completely open to ambiguity. Some of my favorite movies have ambiguous endings, but in this movie, it's sort of like eventually, she is like, oh, the force is playing tricks on her, and she thinks that, oh, this is the person, like, he killed my sister. So then he kills her, and then it's sort of like where they wrap that up is like the movie doesn't know whether or not he is involved with her being in the forest, or if she's just going crazy and the force is convincing him that is convincing her that he did have some sort of influence on her sister. But it's sort of like the screenplay is so stupid that it's like, I don't even know at this point. Let's just kill him, and then as a way of getting rid of it. And
that's a lot. That could be applied to a lot of it. Of just, I don't know. What do you think, audience?
Yeah, I compare this to Inception, which the ending is, if you haven't seen Inception yet, spoiler alert, is at the ending he spins the top. And then you see the top kind of spinning, and then it zooms in, and then before we have any sort of closure, it just cuts. And it's sort of Christopher Nolan's way of pulling the rug out from under you and saying, were you paying attention? Kind of similar to The Prestige. But at the same time, or not like The Prestige, but that line from the movie, are you looking closely? But yeah, so he pulls the rug out from under you and goes, were you paying attention? What do you think? But here it's just...
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to sit down and like think, well, what part of this was real? Because the movie obviously didn't really care. And by the time you get to this stupid, dumb as rocks ending, okay, when we get to the ending and find out, oh, so my sister, like we cut to her sister who's at her camp with her tent behind her. They spent like an entire night at her camp, the main sister and Mr. Hunky reporter journalist guy. They spent all night at the camp, right?
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
yeah, like a good 12 hours or more.
Yeah. And then and then we get to the part where they're in this stupid cabin, and then she just screams. She kills Aiden, and then she just like screams. And then it cuts to her sister, who's at her camp, just like, huh? Well, what happened to her?
She went to a suicide barbecue.
Yeah, she's like hanging out with the ghouls, flipping some patties with Mr. Scarecrow. It drove me nuts. It's like, well, what happened to her? What do you think? I don't care. The people who made this movie obviously didn't care. It really got under my nerves, like this movie has no closure. Its sense of closure is just another ending. It's just another one of those.
Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
to wrap this up is so not a good movie. Not the worst horror movie I've ever seen. It's definitely not the Vatican tapes bad, but it's not good, and I'll never watch it again.
no, that's a great way of putting it. I'm going to give The Forest a 3 out of 10.
As am I. So I guess our combined scores is it's a 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we have the Michael Bay, based on a true story. I guess it's his break from Transformers that he gives himself, where he decides, I'm not going to do this for the money this time. I'm going to try to make a movie now. And it's called 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, or just 13 Hours. Because at the beginning it says 13 hours, and at the end it has the tagline. I don't know. It's kind of like the whole X2, X-Men United thing. But yeah, give us the plot summary of 13 Hours.
Well, 13 Hours is a Michael Bay war movie. As you alluded to, what happens is six men who I can't really remember their names are stationed in Benghazi, and then all of a sudden things go crazy. There's an ambassador. This is all in Libya, Benghazi, Libya. What happens is an ambassador is under attack, is under siege, and then soldiers stationed there are like, we got to go rescue him. And then everything just gets worse from there, where people there, we're not sure if they are the I don't want to say natives. What was that?
They don't know if the locals are friend or foe.
Yeah, the locals. That's a good way of putting it. Are friend or foe? If this is a terrorist occupying this area, what's going on? But they're gonna fight till it's over. Yeah, I'm gonna put a couple minutes on the clock so we can get this over with pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So my thoughts are, a lot of people seem to be giving this movie a pass. I'm not sure why, because it's a bad movie. It's a pretty bad movie. I don't remember any of the characters' names. I thought the action was filmed incompetently in the first half, and in the second half it was filmed a lot better, but then the action got very, very repetitive. It's emotionally manipulative. And all the characters are personality-less cardboard cutouts, and some of these cardboard cutouts are obstacles for other cardboard cutouts. And the bad guys are just warm bodies. They're faceless. They have no motivation. And yeah, that's really brief summary of what I thought. Spencer, what did you think of 13 Hours?
I thought 13 Hours was mediocre. I'd give it scores at the end. I think now I have been fortunate to only watch the first two Transformers movies, and I saw them before I really developed opinions on movies, so I've completely forgotten about them. So this is more or less my first Michael Bay movie I have ever seen in my critical analysis way of viewing movie years. And I think it's as you said, like it's directed very confused. Sorry, it's the way it's directed is confused, because especially during the action scenes, at one point, the six men are each driving, they're getting away from the sort of the ambassadors stay at the embassy. They're driving away from the American embassy, and when they escape, they're both riding two like black Humvees, and they're both identical. But they don't show when one of them leaves. So then it cuts between these two, and I'm like, wait, why? Then at one point it cuts to Jim from The Office is in one. I'm like, oh wait, when did he get in that Humvee? Wait, he wasn't in that Humvee. He was trying to get the other one to go a certain way. Wait, when did he get inside this Humvee? When have there been two Humvees? What? And then at the same time, towards the climax, when there is no vehicle warfare, it's just shootouts that or repetitive. It's for me visually, it's all of them are buff, tough white guys with brown hair, and they all have beards. So
That's a
yeah,
great way of putting it. I I have dogs over here that are making noise. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, I really didn't. As you said, the all the dudes are white, tough guys, big beards, and can I talk about the dialogue in here because I hated the dialogue a lot. It was just
you can talk about it if you want to.
it's every single tough guy one-liner in the book. That's all it is. The entire movie is just these tough guy one-liners, and it became like just a checklist. You stand down. No.
You can't go over there.
You're done taking orders. You're in my world now. I'm giving orders.
But I cannot condone that.
Yeah, it is so annoying. And then everyone has their thin. Well, I got a wife at home I'm fighting for. This movie is also it's a Michael Bay movie, and you said you haven't really seen any of the other Michael Bay movies. I've seen Pain and Gain, which is
you've had the pleasure of viewing.
which is a loathsome, despicable, deplorable movie, and I hated every second of it. It's one of the worst movies ever made. And then I also saw Transformers: Age of Extinction, which the only thing I can say about it is it wasn't as bad as Pain and Gain, but it was still the second worst movie of 2014 I saw. And this one is the best Michael Bay movie I've ever seen because I didn't hate myself while watching it. This movie, though, it's boring. It's lifeless. I almost fell asleep. I was having moments where I just did not care about any of these people. The action's repetitive. It has your signature Michael Bay oversaturated colors of orange and blue. Orange and blue. Everything is orange and blue.
With like a sting of green sometimes.
Yeah, and then you have your lens flare. And then just the constant shouting and loudness of this whole affair drove me crazy. It's a cacophony of visual noise. So much shaky cam. Ugh, why is Michael Bay getting a pass on this one? This is a bad movie.
Hey, look, I will. Okay, we've been kind of dogging on this movie, but I will give it a few positives. Like, there's a lot of the Benghazi incident in itself. The politics were very confusing. But so here, the people are just like, what is going on? It feels like they're in some like twilight zone, like in Libya and Benghazi at night. But in my opinion, it doesn't feel very xenophobic. It's because like all the locals are just kind of like, oh yeah, it's just the normal stuff going on. But like people just be like, you know, like they'll just look at it and just like a shootout going on. They look next door and it's just people just watching the soccer game. Or then they'll be like, or some people will be shooting at them, and then they'll be like, oh wait, never mind, you're the Americans, never mind. Or like they'll like have like their informants of the local military, and they'll go like, oh, don't worry, I'll call the people attacking you, and I have them on speed dial. And then the people just kind of look at each other like, what is going on? And I think it establishes kind of this otherworldly quality. But at the same time, it takes a while to get to any of that interesting stuff because it's too busy being, you know, a war movie cliche-ridden script. But at the same time, I think the screenplay itself could have been really good in the hands of a more competent director. Even from a storytelling point of view, a lot of it takes place at the not the embassy, but at the CIA, the hidden CIA base that's stationed like 2 miles away, or a mile and a half from the. Hey, Happy. That's the dog making noise, and so you know, if they get back there and then it's wave after wave after attackers, if it all just took place and almost like via a stage play of sorts in that compound, it could have been really neat. But because it's Michael Bay, that probably, or it's just, it has to show you everything, it has to show you the grandiose scope. But this is actually in a lot of ways feels very small scale, but it could have been very emotional had it not just resorted to, wait, we're tough guys, and one of them died, and the other one almost died. But yeah, and I will. What's his name? John Krasinski of Jim from. Jim from The Office. I think he gives a good performance. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot to do, but with what he's given, I think he sells it.
Yeah, he does a decent job. James Badge Dale is the guy who dies. Is okay. He's no, he's more than he's pretty good. But the problem is, like, when somebody dies, I was like, oh, which one died? They all look exactly the same. Is it the one that has the family or the one that has the family? Like, so yeah, another thing that I had an issue with was the politics. And you think, oh, they're trying to be, staying away from politics. Good idea. So don't have this scene at the end where it shows all the wives and mothers, our husbands and fathers are dead. Oh no. They had this scene that's like apparently supposed to be all emotional. I'm like, no, screw you, movie. You did not earn this at all. You did not earn that. It drove me bananas. It drove me crazy. I mean, what? What? Like, they're like, oh no, the horror, the injustice. No, movie. These people had no motivation. The movie painted them with no motivation. They gave them no face. They gave them no voice. They were just bodies to get shot up. That's all they were. Before there's some decent acting. There's some decent some for Michael Bay movie. There's some decent shots here, and it's not incompetently directed. So I'm giving the movie a 3.5 out of 10. What are you giving it?
I'm giving it a 5. I will say this though about the lens flares. Whenever there's like a street light in the background or something, there is like this hard as day, like deep blue like streak across the screen, and it was so distracting. Like, I know lens flares, everyone makes fun of J.J. Abrams and Michael Bay and a few other directors, but in the lens flares this one were so in your face with just these hard blue, deep blue streaks that it really was just like, okay, whoa, chill out, man.
Yeah, we do have to get going.
Right.
But what did you give the movie?
I'd give it a 5.
Okay, cool. The next movie is Ride Along 2, which you did not watch, Spencer.
I did not, and from what I hear, good on me.
Yeah. So, can you switch over to the laundry while I talk about Ride Along 2?
Sure can.
All right. Ride Along 2 is a sequel to Ride Along, starring Ice Cube and Kevin Hart. And it's basically the same movie as Ride Along, starring Ice Cube and Kevin Hart, except this time they go to Miami, I believe. There's Ken Jeong, there's Olivia Munn, and Tim Story is back to write and direct this movie. This is a action comedy, so it's really trying to sell you on the comedy, and it has some really fun action. The problem is, it isn't very funny. None of the jokes really work. Ken Jeong, he just looks like at this point he knows he's too old for this. Kevin Hart is just resorting the entire time to his shtick, his wow, small guy, oh my god, whoa, an alligator shtick. Then Ice Cube does not look like he wants to be there. His dry comedy feels tired. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. Olivia Munn she's giving an effort. The problem is she's kind of overacting a little bit. Then okay, so the comedy really doesn't work. It's not funny. It's just a bunch of very generic, obvious jokes that anybody in the locker room could have come up with. So how's the action? Well, the action isn't very good. The action isn't very riveting. There's a car chase that they tried to implement this video game element into it. It didn't feel like a very cleverly integrated car chase. It felt like they were trying to get around budgetary limitations. And there's so many shootouts and action scenes that just look extremely cheap. Why do comedies have to look cheap? Why? All of them look like Dumb and Dumber 2 look cheap. Why do movies have to look so devoid of anything resembling a budget? But anyways, so getting around talking about how it got around budgetary limitations. As I said before, there's that car chase, but there's also these really bad special effects shots. Like there's this very poorly composited alligator into this movie. It's like, why did you have to have an alligator if you aren't going to make it look good? There's the sets look like they're made of cardboard at times. Tim Story, who wrote and directed this, also gave us the first and second Fantastic Four movies, I believe. I believe that was Tim Story.
Yeah, that was Tim Story.
Okay, and you're back. But he doesn't. I don't get it. Like, why did anybody want to make this? I don't understand the appeal of this kind of a movie. Kevin Hart, who I think can be very funny and he can give good dramatic performances. Look at like, well, I mean, The Wedding Ringer, he was good, and the movie wasn't that good, but he was good in it. But um, in here, he is just doing that shtick the whole time. He's trying to carry this whole thing on his Kevin Hart shtick that can get old after a while, and it really did. Kevin Hart and Ice Cube don't the characters themselves don't seem to like be written to have any form of chemistry. It's very annoying, and then the movie is also a little bit misogynistic at times, where the women don't have any characters whatsoever. They're just there to be the men's love interest, and then oh, look at that woman's wearing sexy lingerie. Ooh, isn't that and it, has a very leering camera just looking at them. But it's okay. It's okay if the movie's misogynistic because it is being diverse by having African American leads in it. That kind of cynicism drives me crazy. So we can get away with objectifying women because we have African American leads. Does that drive you crazy as much as it drives me crazy?
It's a double standard, I believe. It's at this point, nothing like that shocks me. I just look at it and think, okay, that's dumb. Why? I don't get the point of it.
Yeah, one moment. I am looking at what time I have to get out of here because it might actually be pretty soon.
It's 2:20.
Okay, yeah, I have 20 minutes.
All right. Well, just really quick. You say about the action. I do work at a movie theater, so I did theater checks when we had this movie. We didn't have it for very long, but I went in during like the climax, and like the camera angles were like so high, where like kind of the action was happening down here to where you couldn't really see it that much to hide it. Like it's the fact that it doesn't have an action movie budget, stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and every scene seemed to be like a rinse repeat of Kevin Hart's like, yo, man, I want to be a detective. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a detective. Ice Cube's like, you're not a detective, you stupid. Why you marry my sister? I like having sex with your sister, man. Is she tight? And then, oh, but he's also getting married. I need to find my. We need to get you a +1, man. We need to get you a +1, man. Oh yeah. Whatever. We gotta go do some detecting. All right, let me do it. No, I don't want you to do that. You're gonna ruin the whole lead. Yeah, but you can't do people. And then he'll go in like a crazy costume and be like, yo, man, what's up? Oh, man, homie, what's up, man? Oh. And then he gets the information they need. He's like, see, I got the information you need. Whatever. Oh, by the way, I'm having a wedding. We need to find you a +1, James. We need to find you a +1, James. We need to find you a +1, James. Shut up. Action scene. Like, it's just that thing over and over and over and over again. I don't get the appeal of these movies, and I don't think I ever will, but I like Kevin Hart. I like Ice Cube. I hope we can have a movie with them in it together where they have any potential to have chemistry. I'm giving Ride Along 2 a 3 out of 10. It didn't drive me crazy. Like I wasn't like in shock of how bad it was, but I did not like it at all. I didn't laugh once. Spencer, would you like to talk about the next movie?
Yes. Up next, we have the greatest animated movie since Up. Eat your heart out, Inside Out. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about Norm of the North. Norm of the North is about Rob Schneider that voices a twerking polar bear named Norm. Connor, what did you think about Norm of the North?
I hated it. But you know what? To be entirely fair, this was a movie that I wasn't shocked by how bad it was. I did see the preview, and the trailer is all kinds of awful. And the movie is
misleading marketing, we can say that.
Yeah, it has very poor production values. The animation is bafflingly awful. Like it is, I can't believe we're still allowed to make movies that look this bad in an animated venue. We have very bad music, a musical score that is very uninspired. And we have pop songs inserted that really date this movie quite a bit. The voice acting is so bad. The movie is uncompromisingly annoying. It is irritating and boring and when you're in the Arctic at the beginning, and then when they go to when they get into the whole we got to save the rec center plot, where they, i.e. we got to save the Arctic because Ken Jeong plays a hippie that's going to build condos on the Arctic. That whole subplot. What happens is they go to New York, and then the movie gets like nightmarish in how bad it is. So yeah, Norm of the North completely sucks, and Rob Schneider, his voice acting alone almost made me walk out of the theater. And there is so much worse here than Rob Schneider's voice acting. Spencer, what did you think?
Ditto.
Okay, so we have the Lemmings. They are a stand-in for the Minions, and they're worse than the Minions. Oh my God, the joke is that they're peeing. They're peeing a lot.
Yeah, as someone who I cannot stand the Minions one bit.
The joke is they farted, Spencer. A lot.
Be-do. Okay, yeah, the thing with the Lemmings, though, was there's this one shot in the movie of, like, at the beginning, it shows them, like, shimmying to, like, the left, and then they shimmy to the right, and then they go, like, this, with the one in the middle, like, hits them in the face. They recycle that shot, I want to say 3 times. And every time they brought up, it's like, okay, so at the end, you know, it's like Norm's, he's trying to go back back home to stop the condo building that will just drop condos, I guess. And then he falls to the ocean floor really quickly, and he's underneath this. He's buried by this like thing, you know, a giant construction piece. And you know he's lying there, and then it cuts a flashback to all the people he's gonna let down if he doesn't save the Arctic. And you know it shows this parrot or this bird, a seagull. It shows a seagull named Socrates, and he looks like Jeffrey Tambor, which I don't get why. And it shows him going like, it shows his generic love interest polar bear going, and then it shows the lemmings going. And then I'm like, what? And then at the end, when they're having this, it's not the credits yet. It's just one last big dance number. It cuts to the lemmings going. And it's like, it's not even a new shot. It's the same shot. It's such a lazy movie. Oh my gosh.
The rendering of the textures in this movie are also terrible. Like you can see the distance between hairs. They have these fight scenes that look very lazy. Like, oh, it's a joke. Look at they're going, hoya! Like they're in some kind of martial arts movie, but it's just an excuse for them to blur out the backgrounds.
Yeah, and speaking of which, is that in those shots, it's like in like kung fu movies, it'll show them going, hoya! And they're moving slow as they're hitting somebody, but like the background's like make it look like they're moving fast, but they're capturing in slow motion, or like martial arts animated movies, something like akin. I think that was in like Samurai Jack. And like the Powerpuff Girls as well. It's what's his name, Genndy Tartakovsky. It's sort of something it was also in Dexter's Laboratory a lot. I think he got those from the martial arts movies, and sort of that whole not gimmick, but it's this very similar I don't want to say homage. That's giving this movie too much credit, but that style is used here. But the backgrounds are moving normally, and yet it shows them moving slowly. And then it's blurred out. So it's like, it's such a lazy movie. Every negative thing you've heard about this movie is earned and is warranted, but it's not shocking. I'd give it a 2 out of 10.
I too would give it a 2 out of 10. We saw this with a friend of ours, and he fell asleep 3 times, and he turned to us like, I hated that. That's one of the worst. That is the worst theater going experience I've ever had. And you know what? This movie never seemed to end. I thought it was funny how they looked up into the sky and there's the stars, and they go into the star and it fades to white, and then it fades to black, and then it fades back in for one last dance number.
Oh gosh!
And I also want to dog on more. I also want to continue to dog on just how bad the voice acting is, because it is something to behold. Ken Jeong is not cut out for voice acting.
What are you
Uh,
talking about? He's not cut out for voice acting, or just that the animation was bad and it brought him down as well?
yeah, but I mean, everything he says sounds exactly the same. Everything he says sounds exactly the same. Heather Graham, everything she says sounds exactly the same. Everything she
Oh
says.
no, we're not gonna save the Arctic,
And
Olympia.
there's a huge plot hole. Okay, she has a daughter. She has a daughter that is like, I'm only doing this awful stuff just so my daughter can get into the school, and the only way to get into the school is to have an alumni write a letter of recommendation. And Mr. Green, the hippie, is an alumni, and he'll write her a letter of recommendation. And then at the end, she goes, "No, this isn't right." And she stands up to the boss man, and they take him down. And then at the end, she gets into the school. How? Where did you get your letter of recommendation, huh?
No, did
I
they
don't know.
say I got in by myself? I don't
Yeah,
get
movie. You're
that.
breaking the rule.
My only semblance of a positive for this movie is that for like 20 minutes there's steaks. I'm not talking about the ones that Rob Schneider eats, but so and yeah, so the thing about like, okay, Norm wants to stop the condos, and Kim Jong wants the condos there, and then Heather Graham's kind of in the middle of, well, I don't want them there, but I need to do it so my daughter can get into the school. So there's a semblance of like, oh, what will Heather Graham's character do? Ah, will she do what's right for the polar bears, or will she do what's right for her daughter? And then at the end, everything works out. Who cares? Screw you. We got your money. But yeah, 2 out of 10 for me.
2 out of 10 for me.
All right. What's our next movie? Because I did not see it, so I only just missed 2 movies. First being Ride Along 2, and then this next movie. Take it away, Connor.
Dirty Grandpa. It sucks. Especially you missed 2 awful comedies. Congratulations. Now the only difference.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the only difference here is between Ride Along 2 and Dirty Grandpa is that I actually chuckled a couple times at Dirty Grandpa, but it's still a worse movie. See, the thing is, this movie has a promise that, oh my God, what did Robert De Niro just say? What did he just do? He's old. He's not supposed to do that. What? Huh? No way. Shock humor. That's all it is. And, oh my gosh, they said a bunch of F-bombs. Robert De Niro shouldn't be saying it. He's a grandpa. What? And then you have Zac Efron, who's playing a guy getting married, and then getting married to Julianne Hough, who's just a stick in the mud, and they go to Daytona Beach because the grandma just died, and the next day he's driving his grandpa down to Florida, and they make a stop and then his grandpa's like, yo, man, I stayed faithful to your grandma for 40 years, and now I'm getting back out there. And in case you missed it, they constantly have to justify the lurid comedy and the unlikableness of these characters, of the grandpa character in particular, by saying, oh my God, your grandma died like, I was faithful to your grandma, and she wanted me to be happy, and this is how I want to be happy. Oh my God. Whoa. F word. Yo, racist slur, homophobic line. Oh my God. Penis. Draw penis on someone's face. It is the lowest common denominator comedy continuously. It's a road trip. It is, and it's a generic crass road trip comedy. And they meet Audrey Plaza and this gay guy, and then this one chick who's supposed to be the real love of Zac Efron's life. It is so heartless and annoying and stupid. And it's a movie that's like supposed to be, reveling in how unlikable it is. That's the whole point of the movie. And then at the end, they're like, oh no, but it has a heart. See, here's its heart, and it's a black, rotten, little dripping thing. And
it's a black, dropping, shriveled up penis.
Yeah, that's what it is. And this movie, it also gets caught up on these thoroughly unlikable and annoying and unfunny characters. We have Jim Gaffigan and some lady as 2 cops. We have a drug dealer character. We have this cousin character. They're all so annoying. And the ending, the last 20 minutes, there's this annoying car chase, and then they try to like make everything happy and make this had emotional weight. No, movie, your promise was that this was just supposed to be shock humor, and you got to hear Robert De Niro say the F word 50 times. And we heard that, and at first, kind of novelty to hear. This is a skit. This isn't a 90-minute feature-length film. I'm giving Dirty Grandpa a 2 out of 10. It sucked. Moving on. Spencer, what's the next movie?
Well, speaking of which, you need to leave shortly. Do you want to wrap up this session and then continue on at another time, or would you like to go through, like, just finish it up?
How many movies do we have left?
We have, I want to say, six.
Well, okay. Why don't we go through one more movie and then later tonight we'll finish this up.
All right. That being said, I have a lot to say about this next one.
What is it?
This next one is The Fifth Wave, or How Not to Rip Off the Hunger Games.
All right. Yes, I will give you 10 minutes.
All right. So the Fifth Wave is about this girl played by Chloe Grace Moretz, a teenager in high school. She has this totally normal life, guys, and then this alien invasion happens, and oh my gosh, oh no, aliens are taking over the world, and they're doing it systematically in this way of, it's like they do it in waves. The first wave was an EMP blast. The second wave was this plague, like sickness, and then like this third wave was natural disasters, or I think I got 2 and 3 switched around. But it's like, they're doing it like this organized and systematic way. And then now the fourth wave is upon us. And then soon after, the fifth wave. So, yeah. And then the U.S. military is involved. They show up to say, look, the fourth wave, our intelligence has told us that the fourth wave is upon us, where aliens look like humans. And then we have reason to believe that a fifth wave is soon after. So yeah, my goodness, this movie started off okay, started off fine, and then it divulged into such stupidity, such cheap filmmaking. It's almost like there was 2 directors on this movie. Like, it starts off, and you have like they somehow like stole the set of the rundown highway from The Walking Dead season 2. And then it's just, okay, Chloe Grace Moretz, just walk down and look around. And then she gets shot, and then she meets this hunky, buff guy. And then it becomes a love triangle movie where the third party has no idea he's in a love triangle. So a lot of this movie does not work. But before I get into what doesn't work, I want to get into what kind of works, because there's very little of it, and it's at the beginning of the movie. I actually quite enjoyed the first scene of this movie. It's a lot of it feels kind of like a lot of the moments where it's just people running through the woods. It feels like a ripoff of The Walking Dead. She's kind of all alone. She has her gun, and she's thirsty and hungry and scared, and she finds a convenience store at a gas station. She goes in there, and she sees somebody bleeding in the corner in the back room, and so then she wants to help him, but she's also not sure if he's an other, as they call the aliens, of course, like Lost. So then, she's about to tend to him, but then she has reason to believe that he might be carrying another weapon. So then she kills him, only to reveal that it's a crucifix. It's been there. We've been there. It's been done before, but for an effective opening contract, I thought it worked. And then immediately after, we get into some of the worst we're teenagers dialogue. Oh my gosh, this party is totally lame.
As if.
I'm going to skedaddle. Go away. Go home. But yeah, so, and then towards the beginning, the army kills this, ends up killing all the adults that are sanctioned there, because one of them tries to pull out a gun on the army. And then I'm like, wow. Then the shot after that, where it's just focused on a single image when you see everyone leave, I'm like, that's a powerful image. And there are quite a few shots in the movie that look pretty nice, and few and far between again. But at the same time, then I kind of pieced 2 and 2 together. This is very early on in the movie, mind you. I want to say 15 minutes. Yeah, I was able to sit there and I went, gee, something's not adding up. Why would the army kill everybody if only one because they're the aliens. Okay. And then by the end of the movie, after wave and wave, after wave and wave of the movie, implying it finally bashes you over the head with, oh my gosh, the army's the aliens, and they're training kids to be the fifth wave.
What? It's not like they told us 50 times throughout the movie that was going to happen.
Exactly. Connor, what are your qualms with the fifth wave?
Well, the fifth wave sucks a lot. I didn't really like the opening scene as much as you did. I do agree that there was a sense of production value to some of the scenes, especially that highway scene. Um, so one thing you didn't mention is that we have the whole militarization of children. Now that whole sequence was so generic. Of you're the key to all this, kids. Now let's break down the bad guy's plot. Okay, so they show up, and here's how clumsy the movie is. They're like, hey, look, we got to get the army shows up, and then they say, I thought vehicles didn't work. To like basically to the camera, and before anyone can question it, they go, "We're the U.S. Army." And I went, "Gee, sure sounds like something that would happen with aliens." Now, okay, now backtracking even further, why did they call the others? That is the most generic. Like, what happened was we didn't know what to call them, so we decided on. And I went, if they call them the others, and then they went, the others. What? Anyways, going back further. Then they're like, oh, we got to get all these kids onto this bus and ship them out of here. And then all the kids get there and they're like, here, kids, kill this alien. Kill it. You're the key to all this. And I'm like, okay, that's not something that would actually happen. So these guys are the aliens trying to trick these kids into being killers. And then what happens is they say, okay, we're going to send you guys out into the field to kill a bunch of people. And then their plan is that, well, we're going to dress. The reason we're using kids is because people, the survivors, aren't going to feel morally. They're going to feel morally obligated to not harm children. The problem is you're dressing them up as soldiers that don't look like children. So when people actually start shooting at them, that whole logic breaks down entirely. We also get Micah Monroe, who is the lead in It Follows. She was very good in It Follows. She is terrible in this movie. Stop staring at my butt, or I'm gonna kick you in the face. All right, I'm in charge here now. Hey, what's up, pretty lady? Bap. I'm the tough girl. And then she walks off, and then we have the little girl go, she's cool. Do you get it, audience? You're supposed to think she's cool. It's such on-the-nose dialogue. The dialogue throughout this entire movie is very, very bad. It's very on the nose. And that's only like half the subplot where like one of the guys who was one of the kids in this battalion is her little brother who she's trying to find. That's the whole point is Chloe Grace Moretz is trying to find her little brother who's become a part of this battalion who's being trained by the others. The aliens. I'm just going to call them the freaking aliens because calling them the others is stupid. So
we
then,
didn't know what to call them because we have any entertainment or literature that alludes to any sort of alien being, so we call them the others and not the aliens.
Exactly. So then there's another guy in that he's the older brother from Jurassic World. He plays a guy who she had a crush on, a guy who went to her high school that she has a crush on, and he's like the leader of their little battalion. Oh, okay. So and then that's the whole love triangle element is that he's there, and she had a crush on him. They had like a scene of dialogue together. Anyway, so she meets generic McHunk Pants in the woods, and he can chop wood, and he takes baths in the stream where he rubs his pecs, and he's like, oh, taking a swim break, and she's like, oh my gosh, look at his muscles. So that's the love triangle element. None of this works at all. The action is not good. It kind of looks like they're filming around limitations because they were filming around limitations. There's a fight scene in the dark where everyone's face is obscured because they can't be fighting each other. We don't have stuntmen that look like our actors, so we gotta make it all look dark. Continue. You say something about this.
Yeah, because look at there's two twists in this movie. One is that one is so obvious, which is the whole the military is the aliens. Oh my gosh! But then the other twist comes out of like butt f nowhere. It makes no sense. By the end, I'm like, how does that work? So these aliens can decide to be human or not human, huh? And it's this whole like what is generic McHunky Pants? He's revealed, oh, he's actually an informant for the aliens, and then it's like there's retconning within the own story. Like quick, briefly, they go, oh yeah, well 20 years ago the others, sorry, the aliens, you know, they dispatched sleeper agents and put them among us. So yeah, actually, they've been around for like 20 years. Like,
Why didn't they just make a whole army of sleeper agents?
exactly. And so and then he's just like, I didn't think I had the choice to be human, and then I met you, and so yeah, I'm like, wait, huh? So if these aliens can control to be human or not, then I don't get the movies.
Well, no. His whole thing was, I'm half human, half alien. And when the others showed up, it's like a switch went off inside of me, and I became a sleeper agent for the others. But then I met you, and you're so pretty because you look like Chloe Grace Moretz, and love conquers all, and you can't choose you can't be half human, half other. You have to choose. And I choose you.
Yeah, that was, oh gosh, get it away.
And everyone in my theater laughed because it was stupid. Like, we really are watching this movie right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should wrap this up. I give The Fifth Wave a 2 out of 10.
And I also give The Fifth Wave a 2 out of 10.
All right. Well, we should meet again, finish this list as soon as we can. We're almost done. We only have 5 more movies left. But yeah, until we see you next time,
which should be like 1 o'clock Pacific time a.m. tonight.
Yes. All right. Well, until next time, I'm Spencer Nielsen.
And I am Connor Nielsen. Signing out.